What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video we got some more Ret Rogue 2v2 action, but this is going to be episode 2 of the PvP Rogue Tips Guides, and this episode's about cooldowns, and I'm also going to talk about positioning again because positioning is also really important in managing cooldowns. So anyway, let's hop straight into it. We definitely got a couple of shorter matches this time around in this clip. This first one's going to be against Discipline Priest Survival Hunter, and it's definitely a comp you'll see from time to time, especially at the higher ratings. Survival Hunter is definitely a popular class among people who like to play 2v2 quite a bit. It always has been, even when it was range class. It was very, very powerful with Resto Druid, and it's kind of continuing the trend now, even though it's melee. Anyway, so going into the game here, basically we're going to be trying to manage our cooldowns in an efficient manner. As you'll see, this clip is rather short, so I will run through them rather quickly. We're going to kind of talk about why I choose to do certain things. So I actually get a really terrible opener this game, and I get on top of the tomb to go for a sap, and at the same moment, I notice there's a flare down, but it's too late. You'll notice that if you position the flare behind the tomb, it actually shows on top of the tomb. You can kind of see that there on the little broken part, and I honestly didn't notice until I got up here. And so I just decide to immediately get back to line of sight here, and we'll see what, instead of blowing Vanish, right? I could have just blown Vanish here. That would have been a terrible decision. Hunter wasn't even out right away when that happened, so I try to get to the pillar and see what happens. I take a position here, line of sight of the Priest, and I didn't overblow my cooldowns. I used Sprint, I used Vial to get Vial going on cooldown, keep my health topped off, and I used Feint because it's rather short cooldown. You'll see that this Hunter is getting on me here, and I decided to go for a Mark for Death kidney shot on the Hunter, and I'm going to blind the Priest as well, and that makes it so they have to do something, or we're going to force probably a kill right off the bat. My Ret doesn't blow wings because he expects them to do something, so he saves wings for the next attempt here. And you'll notice that in this game, the Priest decides to go for a Rapture here. Not necessarily the smartest move. The Hunter LOSs him too right here, which was, because he already used Trinket, his only window in this particular game to use Pain Suppression, which should have been used probably right there. It would have delayed the game and made the play that we go for here not possible. He would have lived too long. So this happening here, my Hunter gets a rep off of the Hammer of Justice, and I dropped this smoke bomb. You'll see that I dropped the smoke bomb and my Ret's actually outside of it, the Hunter's inside of it. Even though they're right next to each other, he can't use his interrupt to stop the Repentance, and I know that if that Repentance gets off, this game's pretty well over. I know that he still has Turtle, but he's forced at this HP to use Turtle, and by the time Turtle ends, Repentance will still have like a second left on it. Repentance is actually going to end slightly first, but I go for a Vanish Sap, and I position myself where I know he's trying to stop the sap, so I tried to just immediately get away from that and give myself an opportunity to vanish. Since sap is a like 10-yard range, I'm going to be able to reach into the flare most likely and sap the target. And I get a cheap shot on him here. The Priest goes for the Pain Suppression out of the sap, but you'll notice he's at like 1% HP when he drops out of the sap, and he goes down, and because of auto self-cast, the Pain Sap goes on to himself. It's whatever. As you'll see, like there by the end of the game, I had pretty much run through all of my cooldowns, and my Vial was back again, but I was still at full HP because of our pressure, so had something gone wrong there, you know, we could have pulled back. The Hunter was, I could just line of sight, I could use my Vial again, use my Feint, and I'll have Mark for Death Kidney to go on the next attempt, although it would have been up to my Paladin to get a Repentance. Anyway, that's that. A lot of the games against Hunter Healer kind of look like this, although when they're with Holy Pallies, there's a lot of resetting. Anyway, let's hop into another clip here. Alright, here we got another rather quick game against a Mistweaver and Assassination Rogue. The game is a lot quicker because we had previously fought these guys, and they were honestly probably a little bit scared of what our burst can do. So they kind of react a little quick to us. I go for a blind immediately onto the Mistweaver, and the reason I don't stun him is I want to save stun DR in case this rogue trinkets this go. Also, the reason why I didn't sap is because if I sap him, this rogue is free to simply re-stealth because my Paladin had not hit him yet. And the reason my paladin hit him is because he didn't want the rogue to just vanish out, which wouldn't be a bad thing for us, but it could potentially turn the opener on its head, and we may not get a good chance like this again. So anyway, I get a blind onto the Mistweaver, and I go for a Mark Kidney here onto the rogue, and my Ret Paladin comes in for some damage, and the rogue decides to immediately trinket and vanish out. So just quick 2 cooldowns, whatever. My Paladin decides to pop wings, and we're going to go hard on the Mistweaver right away. He stuns early just because he didn't want to, he wanted to get in combat, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if he actually tagged the rogue there before the rogue got out. And then we're on to the Mistweaver here. Mistweaver immediately decides to trinket as well because it was, Paladin wings and he's in a full stun with both the DPS. Rogue decides to come back in here, and they drop, Ring of Peace, and right now we can't win. We can't win right now because they have full DRs on our crowd control and our stuns. So right here, it's up to me or my Paladin to use something for me here to survive, to keep us going. I decided to go with Evasion and just face the rogue. It's important to note, if you're a newer player, you can't dodge facing behind, so you need to make sure your camera is always facing the person you're trying to dodge with Evasion. Otherwise you get hit. A little trick that he tried to do there, he tried to shadow step me and go for a kidney, but he decided not to go for the kidney shot because he was unsure that I actually got away. Notice that I get the kidney shot off first, and their monk immediately drops the bubble onto the rogue, which was a good decision, as that was my vendetta used. My Paladin gets some CC there out on the Mistweaver, and this rogue's like, he's pretty much in trouble at this point. But the monk comes out of CC, and he tries to heal him, but it's just too late. It was just a really awkward game for them, honestly. The rogue wasn't able to get out enough pressure to do anything, and they used their trinkets too quickly in the start of the match, and it gave us an easy setup, right? If you get both trinkets, and you're not against like a paladin or something that has extra immunities and stuff like that, you can pretty much just get a quick little setup and just destroy the enemy team, especially in 2v2 because the games start with 20% dampening. It actually makes your comp a lot more lethal, but at the same time, it really puts emphasis on pulling back and line of sighting to save your cooldowns, as opposed to just standing out there and hoping that your cooldowns will be enough to save you through everything, because you'll end up blowing all of your cooldowns, which is not what you want to do when you're trying to go for a long game. Anyway, guys, just some final notes, I guess, on cooldown management. Try not to overlap defensives with your teammates and stuff. Don't use offensives at the same time. Sometimes in 2v2 anyway, it's good to not do that. Try and split up your offensive cooldowns. Sometimes in 3s you may go for, both of you may use, say, Vendetta and Combustion, or Orb and Vendetta at the same time. Like, that's totally fine. In 2s, it's better if you can try and split it up, because you're going to need to keep pulling away and going in, trying to get more cooldowns off the enemy team to try and get through everything before you die, because you don't have as much sustainability without that healer. If you are playing with a healer, really focus, especially as a healer as well, trading out your cooldowns for proper enemy offensive cooldowns instead of just seeing the person's health dip. Really focus on that positioning, as it'll help you save those cooldowns too. Anyway, guys, I hope you have been enjoying this series so far. Please be sure to leave a comment below on what you think. Like for more. Consider subscribing, guys, and we'll see you all next time.